Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Jacalyn. Take charge of your life personally, financially, and professionally. Visit drjacalyn.com to book an appointment today.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's the Guest Spotlight Show. We are live on Business Talk Radio and social media. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am a certified life and career coach. And with me today is a man I have known for a very long time, 30 some years. He is an incredible person. He's an inspiration. He's my brother-in-law. He's my friend. Let's welcome Jon Wilson to the program. Hi, Jon. It's so good to see you. We've come full circle now, I think, now that we're doing this interview. So, Jon, you have been working in corporate America for 30 plus years. And it takes a toll on you, right?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Share with us what kind of work you do.
So I have been in corporate America 30 years. I'm in enterprise software sales. Everybody has stressful jobs and stressful kind of life situations. And it's probably, in my mind, probably one of the tougher ones too, and having an annual quota, a monthly quota, certain goals and objectives that you have to hit, and be held pretty accountable for achieving those objectives. So in 30 years, it's hard to believe that. I don't even feel 30, but in 30 years, it's been, it's a stressful thing. You communicate well with customers, you communicate internally with your company. But the biggest thing is probably just like most people, it's a stressful kind of work situation where you have a goal that you have to attain.
Let's not forget about Salesforce.com, right? We used to have stories about Salesforce about entering the information, the reports.
It doesn't seem like it ever ends. That's what it is. But the annual number, and the number keeps coming. They had, and every year it's somehow the number, the rock gets bigger, and you got to push the rock back up the hill. And I have been very fortunate in 30 years that, probably hit my number 20 plus 6, 8, almost every year. And even in my current company, I'm probably one of the only guys that's hit his number, 10 out of 10 years, and now probably 14 out of 15 years with my current company. So it's definitely been a successful career.
It definitely has. And in addition to that, you're a family man, and you're also the kind of person that you have to be doing something, right?
Yes. Constantly in motion, just being physical or being fit or trying to be physical and fit is something that's important to reduce stress. But I think part of even with the corporate life is it became difficult for me to kind of manage some of that stressful situations and lost a little bit of the physical activity, and that helped me, kind of brought me to yoga, along with you and my wife Debbie, and kind of encouraging me along the way to give yoga a chance out of probably years of trying, and finally succeeding and starting.
Let's take a look at that for a minute. So I found out about yoga, was turned on to yoga by Robert Kerbeck and Guardia Fox. Robert's my cousin, Guardia's his wife. And I was out in LA, and I don't know if it was Malibu or San Diego, somewhere, but they talked to me about yoga, and it was Santa Monica actually. And so I started practicing, and I was talking to you and to Debbie about the practice of yoga, but you just weren't interested at that time. So right. What do you think it was that was the catalyst?
Honestly, I think it was, I had just turned 55. I was not in the, I think just again, like most people, that you're in a stressful situation in work. And, I wanted to get more fit, and probably, and again, with the encouragement of, with Debbie and yourself and, a few friends, just tried it, and believe me, those who don't know me, I'm probably the last person, that you would imagine that would go to yoga. I was in the Army for was an infantry officer in the Army for 4 years, again, corporate America for 30 years. And, but, I gave it a try, and it was just something that really clicked and resonated with me for a bunch of reasons, physical piece of it, that yoga is truly for anyone. I was not in the best of shape, and it really physically, allows you to get in great physical shape. And I think the other interesting thing, and talk more about it, also, it really strengthens your mind. And in the business world, we're putting a lot of, kind of demanding uh, things to think through with business challenges, and it really helps you think through and strengthen your mental toughness. That's was almost better than the physical gift that yoga has been that mental toughness also.
Let's take a step back because I think there's a misnomer out there that you have to be in shape in order to practice yoga.
Right.
Can you speak to that, please?
Well, I certainly wasn't in great shape when I started. Um, and yoga is for everyone. A couple different things. One, yoga is truly for everyone. There's a different class that anybody could take, anybody could start, and the other thing is, yoga is truly a community where there is no judgment. So when you start, and at the time, my wife Debbie told me, sometimes you just start in what's called child's pose, which is kind of a somewhat resting pose. And for weeks, I would probably spend half a class just in child's pose. But the interesting thing with yoga is it truly this caring kind of loving community where there is no judgment. And what you can do, you do. What you cannot do, you don't worry, and there's no judgment at all. Um, but I would encourage everyone. I've become like the yoga spokesman to give it a try, and to stick with it, because it truly is life changing. Physically, mentally. It was in yoga community, through your mind, your body, and your spirit will certainly improve.
Thank you for sharing that, John. And not only did you start practicing yoga, but you
Mhm.
decided to take it a step further, which we'll talk about after the commercial break. So we talked about the fact that you don't have to be in shape in order to practice yoga.
No.
And what about the fact that I've heard people say, I feel like I'm competing with someone because they're upside down doing inversions and I'm still over here doing that. Is yoga a competitive sport?
No. And again, that's where there's something that just really resonated with me with yoga, and it's almost becomes like this little community and this little family with yoga, and there's no competition whatsoever. It's just what you can do, what you yourself feel you can do and you can accomplish. And believe me, there's people in a class that I go to now that are most of them are doing things, but there's no, it's like a non-judgment free zone that you go for yourself. You do what you can do, and it truly is just this warm, inviting community of people that are accepting of of you as a person, and what you can do yourself. Anybody can go.
John, when you think back to your first class, the very first one, and you had mentioned that you spent a certain amount of time in child's pose, do you remember the emotions that you were feeling? It's the very first class. Take us back there, if you will.
For me, I was probably, there's fear that was definitely set in. It was different for me. And again, most people don't know, fairly, military guy, corporate America, just probably not what you would envision. And probably still people don't envision me as a yogi, but I certainly enjoyed it. And that first class was, thank goodness, my wife took me, Debbie took me, and she told me, like, if you can just go in child's pose. And again, from that first class, something just clicked where it truly, I can repeat it, but it's just this community, and you just feel the warmth of other people and the warmth of that community, and you do as much or as little as you can. And I think that's important. And the other important thing is to just stay with it, because again, probably for the first couple of weeks, half the class, I would be in child's pose, but I really stuck with it. And, to the point where even this guy, really enjoys now the harder yoga classes that I can go to, and the really, the ones that are kind of push you physically.
I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors. But when we come back, I want to talk about how you took your journey to the next level. So stay with us here on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn's special guest spotlight on Mr. Jon Wilson. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to a special edition of Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and my special spotlight guest is Jon Wilson. And I'd like to encourage people out there, if you're watching, if you're listening, please let us know. Tell us how your journey with yoga has been, or tell us if you're stuck or you're suffering with anxiety. You need to reach out. We're here to speak to you. So, Jon, we were talking about how you've been in the corporate world for decades, and you've been a huge success, the President's Club, I think every year. And you turned to yoga and it's changed your life. So you now embark on becoming a certified instructor. What led you to this big step? 200 hours, by the way.
It's just something, it's interesting. Yoga has just had such a dramatic impact on my life. This, the quality of life. It's enabled me to become much more fit. It's enabled my mind to be much more strong. And again, this sense of community and energy and enthusiasm that yoga just creates. So, even, physically and becoming a much more healthy person.
Can you talk to some of the impact it's had on your health in terms of weight?
Yeah, I've honestly, I've probably lost 35, maybe 40 pounds weight. We get, every year you go for the annual physical. My numbers were always like a little, the cholesterol was just a little high. The blood pressure was a little high. But, and with yoga now, my cholesterol's probably 180, it's high 190s or something like that, where it may have been 230. My blood pressure's, really good. It's just like it's dramatic physical change that it has enabled me to accomplish. And I think the other interesting thing, and then it just somehow melds into this yoga lifestyle where you start eating better, you start taking better care of yourself, you start having a lot less stress because yoga really enables you to reduce stress. And I know we're all, in COVID land, and most of our lives are stressful situations. And it has just enabled me, and I think most people who practice, to have a less stressful life, to have more of a simpler life, a healthier life. And that has really just driven me to be very passionate about yoga and what it's done for me.
Which is incredible. And of course, knowing you for all these years, first of all, when you said that you were practicing yoga, I think I cried. And when you said you were taking it to the next level, I got my certification which was Yoga Sculpt, 55 hours, I think, and you did 200. I thought, oh my gosh, the guy's all in.
I had to beat you. Come on.
And to know that it's such a big part of your life that if you don't get to go to the class that you're
right.
So what's it done for the restlessness, the always having to go?
Right. And again, people who knew me have a restless soul, that I was constantly moving, walking, I think some of that again is just all of us are in a bit of a stressful, situation, and certainly, corporate life is stressful, but it's really just slows everything down. It really slows your mind down to, I almost equate it to like in the army, the army, they always had this mental toughness, this mental fortitude. And the really interesting thing about yoga is, yes, it has had a dramatic impact physically on me. I mean, honestly, I'm probably I feel like I'm in at the same better shape than I was in my late 20s, literally 30 years ago. So it's had this dramatic physical impact, but almost greater is this mental fortitude and toughness, and kind of just slows your mind down and slows everything down a little bit, that you can think a little clearer, you can be a little clearer. It reduces your stress or reduces your anxiety. And that to me, and that's what I try to tell everybody, it's yoga will have a dramatic impact on you physically, but it will have probably a greater impact on you just having a clear, present mind and enable you to make clear, present decisions.
Very well said, John. And if we think back to not this past summer, the summer before, and how generations are able to practice together.
Yeah.
So we got to practice together. Your kids, I think Debbie practiced with us. It's just such an incredible thing. To your point, it's a shared experience that I find to be both physically, mentally, and emotionally liberating. And when you think sometimes to the last song, whatever song the instructor's playing, whatever song you play or I play, sometimes you cry.
Right. I'm going to cry right now thinking about, how joyful it is. It really is. It really is, something that's, it's like for Father's Day. That's the one thing I wanted to do. It's just a joyful, just such a joy. And my yoga name is Joyful Jon, but I just love it. It's just so, it just brings out this essence of joy, physically, mentally, and just really just brings you back to just a state of being calm, relaxed, but physically strong also.
Talk to us about the impact that breath work, that breathing has.
But most people now probably take it to the extreme, but your Ujjayi Pranayama breath is a deep, deep breath in and breath out. And I think the breath work is as important. Again, it's an immediate kind of sometimes stress reduction when we're in a stressful situation through the day. But, your breath work throughout your practice or in life or on a walk or just in a stressful situation helps, and it really does, again, just an immediate clearing of the mind by using your kind of a deep breath to clear out any anxiety or restlessness and breathe in calmness to your mind and your body.
What was your journey like to get your certification? As we talked about, you did the 200-hour, you went for the Cadillac of the yoga teacher training. What was that like for you?
So for me, and again, it's hard to describe what an impact yoga's had on my life, right? It really, truly has. And through my own journey, and later in life, I wish I would have found it earlier, was that I wanted to give back the gift of yoga to other people. It's such a incredible gift. So as part of my yoga journey, I wanted to go through a yoga teacher training certification, and I wanted to kind of teach and give back the gift of yoga to other people. So as part of that, it's interesting, again, 30 years of corporate America, yoga teacher training is as intense or more in that you're relearning kind of yoga, but you're instructing other students and classmates and your fellow teachers. And the interesting through for me was just trying to give back that gift of yoga and give back that gift that I could to other people.
And I'm so glad that you did. And you've just changed. I can see the change just across the computer screen. And I thought one of the cool things was during COVID that we and others have been able to practice together. So the thing about yoga that really resonates with me, in addition to all the things that you've mentioned, is it doesn't require you going anywhere. Right. And if you have a mat, that's terrific. But you can practice yoga anywhere, anytime.
Right. And I think that's a great point, because sometimes even, for all of us, and if I prefer to do yoga in the evening, because a lot of times, a stressful work day, you do it at the end of the day, it kind of helps you relieve it. But sometimes, somebody may do it at lunch, but it is that anywhere, anytime kind of relief that you can have. And I think in COVID, even better, pull your mat out and do it whenever you can and wherever you can.
Great points, John. We're going to take a break. Before we do, I've got my devices here and I see people are watching us on all the platforms, but we're not hearing from you. We'd love to hear from you. John's waiting to hear from you. Your comments, any questions you might have. So we'll take a break and we hope to hear from you in the interim. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with this special edition of Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, guest spotlight, Jon Wilson.
Looking for children's books to embrace the imagination, to inspire your kids to be the best they can be and to love themselves? Look no further. Children's author DianeFloydBain.com. You'll find the books right there and on Amazon and local stores.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go to a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back. It's so good to be here with my friend and brother-in-law and inspiration, Mr. Jon Wilson, here on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, guest spotlight live on Business Talk Radio and social media. So guess what? We have comments.
Whoa.
Yeah, we have comments. Carrie L. Small. The two of you are very inspirational. Thanks. And also from Carrie John, while you were getting into the habit, did you quit yoga at all? That's a good question. Did you ever decide, hey, I need a break?
No, it honestly, it's such a part of life, and it is that yoga life that all of us want a healthier life. We want a simpler life, and yoga has provided that. And I see myself always practicing.
I'm glad to hear that. We also have a comment from Joe C. Joe Colonna, looking good Lewis. Is that a nickname for you?
I have a lot of nicknames. Who knows?
We have a comment from Deborah Wilson. What plans do you have to share your love for yoga?
That's my plan. I got to get it going. Oh, I know. Because that's my one goal. I want to give back the gift of yoga. I want to give back the gift of yoga to, enable everyone to be this simpler, healthier life. And yoga can definitely deliver that for everybody.
We have some comments from the lovely Kim Lysop Wilson. Go, John. It really has brought me closer to you all practicing together. Do you miss the heat of hot yoga during COVID when you're practicing at home? And Kim also wants to know, how do you motivate yourself to work out when you're at home? Good question, Kim. Thanks.
That is a good question. I really do miss the heat, and for those who haven't practiced yet but will, a lot of times yoga is done in a heated studio. And for these older bones, it feels great. The heat just feels so good. And it just feels great on your bones, your body, and the sweat that releases out of there. And it is harder at home, because for me personally, I miss the heat. And I've certainly been practicing at home also. But the heat, I do miss the heat. But everybody still start your at-home practice. And I also miss like the community of yoga, because it truly is just this accepting kind of group. It's a no judgment zone. It's an encouraging community, and it's a community that you can just be anybody can be a part of.
I definitely miss hot yoga. When I was practicing it was 26 and 2. It was 105 degrees, and I would get myself situated at Ron Gittner's studio in Boca. he'd have the space heaters, and I'd be right there in front of the space heater. So it was 110 degrees. And
That's
you
the
just,
heat.
yeah, you purge everything. It's like all the toxins and the stress and the wine,
Yes.
all gone.
Again, I agree. And sometimes, now the hotter the class, the better. The harder the class, the better. And it's funny too. Like sometimes when you have the most difficult, hard class, you are so just enthused, and it honestly lasts for a day or days because you just feel so good about the release that has taken place, and you feel just enthused, so much so that I remember last year I had a class. I mean, we had done 2 classes, and I went downtown and met my kids, and we played ping pong in Washington D.C. Probably the only time I beat both of my sons in ping pong because I was so fired up, like just this great class, and you're just enthusiastic. And I went down and played ping pong, but I think it's probably the first time I ever beat both of them. But it's this natural high that's indescribable with yoga.
I agree. And we've got a comment from the lovely Joyce Kerbeck. She said, "Looking great, Jon."
Joyce is in the house.
She's downstairs.
Joyce is in the house.
She's watching. So, Jon, when you think about the journey that you've been on, you've come such a long way. Now we're in COVID, and it's not as easy to teach. I mean, I teach online,
Right.
and as you know from being in class, Samantha and Gail and some of the other people we've met, you have this bond with them,
right,
that will never go away, and that's part of why I think we should encourage people to really look into yoga, because again, you don't have to have money to do it. You don't have to leave your home. We've got a comment. "I love practicing yoga with both of you. Congratulations, Jon, on becoming a certified instructor." Wow. Who is it? We don't know who it is because there's no name because of technology, but thank you so much.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. It's hard to describe. And if anybody who knows me, if I could start kick, drag across the finish line, the yoga line, but if I can do it anybody can do it, and it's very hard to describe. Also, just how physically great it feels, but then how that your clear mind, mental toughness, and mental fortitude, and how it is truly this community that brings people together. It's just a great practice, great way and a great way of life. This yoga then develops into this simpler, healthier kind of way of life that I think through COVID we're all starting to go to.
Let's talk about the physicality of yoga. So the actual idea of temporarily cutting off circulation to different body parts so that fresh oxygenated, I always get that word wrong, blood with new fresh oxygen goes to your limbs. What is the importance of that, and how is that aligned with yoga?
So to me it means just it's like an energy flow. Like, most of us are spending our day sitting, working in a computer or doing something. And when you're doing yoga and you're practicing, truly, it's all your limbs are moving, they're functioning, and the energy that is moving throughout your body. And I think that is what really also just invigorates your body, makes that movement go. And again, it's for everybody, because just stretching will make you feel better. Just a child's pose or a simple pose will make you feel better, will improve your flexibility, will improve your physical fitness, will improve yourself. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful way for anybody, anywhere, anytime to start and do yoga and get the energy moving.
And John, I remember I was in Boca Raton at Ron Gittner's studio again, and there was a woman there. She was 86 years old. She'd been practicing yoga for 50 years, I think. And I thought to myself, here's something that you can do your whole life. Because when we look at tennis, right, you were big on tennis. As we get older, things start to get broken, destroyed.
Wing, rotator cuff surgery, tennis days over.
And other sports, golf seems to be something that you can carry with you regardless of your age. But the same thing with yoga. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old, weak or strong. It's something that you can carry with you the rest of your life that is something positive that you don't need anyone else to do. Of course, it's better when you're with other people. So you have your certification, and now you're going to put together your course. You're going to put together your class.
I am. I've got to. It's just one of those. I have to do it. I really do. It's my life mission, a life goal of mine is to give back the gift of yoga. And just right when I finished, kind of everything shut down with, my yoga studio that I practiced at, unfortunately, shut down, and I just, I really, honestly, that's the gift of yoga that I want to get back, and I have to get that done, even beginning with online classes.
So the coach in me kind of wants you to make it.
I know.
And develop an action plan so that we can start taking your classes as soon as possible.
I need it. Believe me, I need it.
All right. Well, that being said, John, we've come to the top of our program. And I just would like you, for everyone who's out there, people are watching us on social media, they're listening to us in Business Talk Radio. What is something that every one of us can do today to start with a yoga practice?
Honestly, it's very easy. Like you could, any online class in there, they're free. You can start with a 20-minute or 30-minute, yoga class and just start and stick with it. When I started, it took me weeks to get it going, but just start online in the comfort of your own home and stick with it. And it will definitely improve your physical and your mental well-being and your physical and mental toughness. And it will deliver like this healthier lifestyle for all of us and this simple yoga lifestyle that we all kind of want.
And for our friends on Business Talk Radio, how can they reach out to you if somebody wants to talk to you about your journey or maybe where they are and how they can get unstuck? What's the best way to reach you, John?
Yeah, my email is, good, or, my phone, 703-304-2955. I'm very passionate about yoga. So anybody who has any questions, feel free to give me a call or maybe that'll be my impetus if somebody wants to do a class or just start up a beginner class, call me or email me and I can show you the basic moves and get you started.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm so proud of you. And I can't wait for the next chapter of your journey. We'll bring you back and you can actually lead us through a class live. How about that?
I need it. I'll do it.
Okay. Thank you for being here, John. I'll see you backstage in just a moment.
Great.
It's been great.
Thank you all.
And, I'm still getting my hands messed up on the board. Anyway, I just want to thank everybody. I do this every program. I appreciate your loyalty. We're starting to really build traction. We have 11 shows this week. And if you want to be a guest or you want to be a sponsor, please go to our website, drjacalyn.com. You can find out all the information there. We're also excited that we've launched a new platform, which is called A Better You. This is lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And it's a 15-minute presentation that they give. And then the other people, up to 4 people, are panelists. And so when one person presents, everyone else is a panelist, and then we take turns with people presenting. I'm the moderator and the host. We are launching a new extension of this. It's a Better You University. So we will take those 15-minute presentations and put them up on our training platform that people can then subscribe and download the content. So if you are a coach, or if you're an advisor or consultant or someone who's an educator, it's limitless. And you have content that's already been developed. You can put it up on a Better You University, and you can have people pay you for your content. So that's all we have for today. I hope you'll join us tomorrow. We have 4 more interviews, and I think we have 4 on Friday. So we will see you next time, hopefully tomorrow. Thanks for being with us.